Tune in this month on the Cutter Historical YouTube channel as September will be a September to remember, as many sports will be broadcast. Baseball, we have the OTP Legends League Season 4 alongside PC Replay Baseball at times. It's the pennant stretch. Above the Rim College Hoops, the 64 best teams through the 16 tournaments that I pre-done will be set up, and a tournament winner must be held. Second and 10 PC football, as college football on Saturday and NFL on Sunday. 128 team single elimination battles will commence. Stone Cold Hockey, we will talk about the 1981-82 season set and a playthrough there. Cutter top 10 sports videos on major sports, baseball, basketball, football, hockey, and a few others. ASG Golf goes Canadian as all four tours head to Glen Abbey in Oakville for weekend battles. NHL 94 Emulator mods, as ROMs will be set up of different national teams and different NHL formats. Of course, chat about boxing. We'll have a grand tournament of winners from Legends of Boxing and much, much more. It's the Cutter Historical YouTube channel for September. Don't miss it. And now back to your feature presentation. Hey there, Heather, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome you to yet another Cutter Top 10 sports video. And today we're looking at the sport of golf. Yes, it is a sport and all that, even though there's a lot of walking and exercise and all that. But, you know, you're going to have stamina, just like baseball players and hockey players. But anyway, I digress. We are focusing on the top 10 golfing upsets in history. That can mean like players winning major championships that come out of freaking nowhere. And people are like, where did that come from? So anyway, these names were big and all that. There were a few names that actually have been kind of big, but not so much. And all that. So here are the top 10 upsets in history. Number 10 is Michael Campbell's win at the 2005 US Open against Tiger Woods. Michael Campbell was this guy from New Zealand who was great in the Oceania tours and just couldn't do much in America. He did fine in Europe as well. It was not given a chance at Pinehurst, which is very big with its hard pan sand and its wiregrass, among other things. Somehow, some way, Michael Campbell was leading, headed to the fourth and final round, and then Tiger comes out of nowhere for a trademark charge and trying to win back-to-back majors because he was the Masters champion in 2005 with that great chip on 16, which I actually missed that chip because I was sent to the corner store by my brother to grab milk, and I missed a Tiger Woods moment. Nevertheless, Tiger tried, but Michael Campbell did it, and New Zealand got itself a major championship. It wasn't their first. Their first was Bob Charles in 1963, winning the British Open as a left-hander, becoming the first left-hander to win a major, and then last until 2003 when Mikey Weir did so. Number 9 is a near upset. It's the only one that did not have a win, but it was a massive upset. Was Tom Watson at the British Open in 2009. So Tom Watson was a legend. He won some tournaments. He won a few British Opens, and in 2009 he was 59 years old, long past his prime. But he got in because as a champion of the British Open, he got an automatic bid. He actually turned the clock back at Turnberry, which is a legendary course that he has won at. And he actually had a chance on the 72nd and final hole, or the 18th hole on Sunday, if you will, to make it, I think it was a par, and he would have won the British Open at 59, crushing Jack Nicklaus's record for oldest player to win a major. Well, Jack Nicklaus won at 46. Tom Watson can win at 59. That's amazing. Unfortunately, though, he failed in his putt, but he did force the playoff with Stuart Sink. Unfortunately, he fell short. But, you know, it was amazing that Tom Watson put that through. For Evans's, his 59-year-old, if he had won at 59, that would have been way above the record nowadays. That was Phil Mickelson when he won the PGA Championship a couple years back at age 50. Number 8 is Paul Lawrie at the British Open 1999. And yes, that is the one that sees John Vanderveld choke and all that. For how bad Vanderveld was with his choke and all that, people don't talk about Paul Lawrie and the fact that the guy was 10 strokes behind Vanderveld and he ended his round early and he had the lead in the clubhouse. Vanderveld just needed a triple bogey, a double bogey to win the British Open. You can bogey, that's no big deal. Unfortunately, he attacked the 18 too harshly. If he had just played it safe, he probably would have got a bogey at worst and won for sure. And give France a title, a major title for the first time since 1907. But the fact is, he botched it, and Paul Lawrie was happy when Vanderveld took a triple bogey. The good news for Vanderveld is he did well enough to force a playoff with Paul Lawrie and also Justin Leonard. He also was in that playoff. The bad news is Vanderveld choked in the playoff, and Paul Lawrie, a Scot, brought the UK the British Open Championship, and it was just amazing and something that people don't talk about. When they talk about the '99 British Open, it's John Vanderveld. But dude, you should be talking about Paul Lawrie, like the guy came out of effing nowhere. And number 7 is John Daly's Cinderella story from the 1991 PGA Championship. John Daly wasn't really supposed to be at the PGA Championship at Cricket Stick. He was the ninth alternate. So, they had to have players left, right, and center be replaced. Nick Price had to pull out because his wife was giving birth. So, John Daly was drafted in. And somehow, the man from Arkansas, with his powerful drives and fearless play, somehow, in some way, attacked Crooked Stick and took the Wanamaker Trophy as PGA champion. And it was just amazing that John Daly did that out of freaking nowhere. And he wasn't as much of a bad boy as he was in more recent years. But the fact is that John Daly proved his worth, and he did win the 95 British Open, even though the Costantino Rocca made that fantastic putt from the Valley of the Sun, Valley of the Sin, if you will. At number 6 on the list is Todd Hamilton at the 2004 British Open. A lot of you would probably say, isn't that the name of a movie, Win a Date with Todd Hamilton? The movie's name is Win a Date with Tad Hamilton, and that was starring Topher Grace when he left that 70s show. A little too prematurely. Anyway, Todd Hamilton at the 2004 British Open. Hamilton spent time on the Japanese tour and was an outsider, went to Royal Troon. He got in through Pacific qualifying. But yeah, Todd Hamilton was looking decent at Royal Troon. In a 4-hole playoff, which is the rule for British Open, if you get to a playoff, it's the best score of 4 holes. He took on Ernie Els in the playoff and beat the Big Easy. Used his hybrids from all corner of the course and his relentless grit, and it was amazing to see Todd Hamilton pull it off. It was the second straight year that the British Open had a very much massive outsider winning and all that. We'll get to the one in 2003 a little later. Number 5, Larry Mize's Miracle Chip, 1987. Larry Mize was from Augusta, and no player from the Augusta area had ever won the Masters. You'll see players win the US PGA and British Open being from the same, it's the British Open, the same country or the same area. But the Masters doesn't have that thing. But anyway, Larry Mize would take on Greg Norman and Seve Ballesteros in the playoff for the 1987 Masters. On the second hole on 10, Mize had a 140-foot shot. He decided to chip it in, and the bounces were amazing. And I can't remember who was the guy who said it on CBS. I'm thinking Ben Wright. But he said, words do not do justice to the greatness of that shot. Well, Mize ended up winning the playoff over Norman and Ballesteros, which was amazing. I mean, Larry Mize is a decent golf name, but yeah, to beat the Great White Shark and Seve was just amazing. And Greg Norman again fumbled in the Masters final round and the subsequent playoff. Number 4 is Ben Hogan being defeated at the 1955 U.S. Open by Jack Fleck. Ben Hogan was an icon. He was aiming for his unprecedented 5th U.S. Open title and all that. Hogan looked pretty impressive. He was actually up by 7 strokes at one point, and it looked like Ben Hogan would get number 5. But somehow, in some way, a municipal pro, as they call him, known as Jack Fleck, refused to yield. He put on a clinic on the back nine and forced a playoff with the great Ben Hogan, who 5 years prior actually got, or was it 5 or 6? I think it was 6. No, 6 years prior, got into a massive car accident, and people thought he would never walk again, much less play golf. But he proved them all wrong, winning 3 majors in 1950. Anyway, Fleck forced the playoff and somehow, in some way, won the 1955 British Open, U.S. Open. Excuse me. What am I thinking? And put his name in as one of the biggest names for an upset. Number 3 is Ben Curtis at the 2003 British Open. Remember when I was talking about 2004? When I was drafting this, I was like, well, I got to put the 03 and 04 British Open champions because those guys' names were really unknown when they won the title. Ben Curtis basically trumps Todd Hamilton. Ben Curtis was a very much complete unknown. He never made a major in his career, and his world ranking, not PGA ranking, world ranking, 396. So if you put 144 golfers in each tournament, he wouldn't even make the top tier or the middle tier, the second tier. He would be third tier. That's how bad it was. But anyway, Ben Curtis shocked a lot of people by winning. I don't know how he qualified for the British Open and all that. That's something I got to know about because of the fact that, it's like, how did he even qualify? Oh, he did it. He qualified for the British Open through his PGA Tour card and actually had a top 25 tie that actually snuck him into the British Open and all that. He was a 300-1 outsider. After 3 rounds, he was tied for third. Thomas Bjorn of Denmark had it in his bag, but Bjorn choked on the final round, and Ben Curtis put up a 69 to shock everyone and beating Bjorn and Vijay Singh by a stroke. It was his first appearance in a major, becoming the first golfer since the number 1 golfer on this list to win in his major championship debut. Keegan Bradley would be the next one in 2011 at the PGA Championships. Curtis would go from 396 in the world to 35th in the world. He was actually named Tour Rookie of the Year. So that's just how good he was. And shocked everybody. Not even Todd Hamilton was that low. Number 2 is Y.E. Yang. Y.E.S. as Jim Nance said. He wins the 2009 PGA Championship, shocking Tiger Woods. Tiger had a massive historical run. Every time he led the majors after 3 rounds, he won. So it was almost perfect timing that Tiger would win the 2009 PGA Championship. Of course, this was months after the whole. Was it months after, or was it? No, I don't remember. Was that before the whole thing with Elon and his cheating scandal being uncovered? I think it was. I think it was just, it was a few months before the cheating scandal came out. But anyway, Tiger looked impressive. Y.E. Yang was a South Korean journeyman who had to be in the Korean army for 2 years after this because of the Korean rules and all that. Y.E. Yang shocked everyone by tracking down Woods and actually had the lead with an eagle on 14, winning by 3 strokes. And Tiger could not believe it. He had a championship right in his sights, and he flipped it to this guy, Y.E. Yang. Well, Y.E.S., he got it. And then he served his 2-year Korean thing. And number 1 is Francis Ouimet winning the 1913 U.S. Open. That's who I was referring to when I was talking about the Ben Curtis thing, about guy winning his first major. Well, It was amazing. The 1913 US Open was open to amateurs and professionals. And a 20-year-old amateur by the name of Francis Ouimet, Ouimet, who was a former caddy, went to the country club in Brookline, Massachusetts, and did his job. He was unknown outside his hometown. He actually had tied for the lead after 4 rounds, and then there was an 18-hole playoff. Taking on legends like Harry Farbin and Ted Ray from across the pond, he shocked them by winning the U.S. Open, and it actually surged golf's popularity in America. No longer would it be just a British sport; it'd be an American sport too. Of course, there would be other great wins of golf's popularity like Bobby Jones, Ben Hogan, Jack Nicklaus, Arnold Palmer, Tiger Woods, and even Scotty Scheffler. But the fact that Ouimet did this was amazing. They even made a movie about it. I can't remember the movie's title, but it was just one of the greatest golf movies of all time. Not Caddyshack, but yeah, the greatest game ever played. I don't know, but yeah, Francis Ouimet's story was in a Disney movie, and it brought golf back to popularity and give America something to cheer for, another sport to call their own, in a sense. Anyhow, I'm Jeff Diamond, a Duke.